Hollywood has long been celebrated as the city of lights, a place where dreams are supposed to come true. But behind the glitter, the red carpets, and the applause lies a far darker reality. In an industry meant to honor talent, powerful figures quietly created a blacklist, a silent weapon capable of destroying a career overnight. And who paid the price? 13 black actresses. Women who once embodied beauty, brilliance, and undeniable talent were mercilessly erased by Hollywood itself. They committed no crimes. Their only offense was daring to speak up, to love freely, and to live authentically. For that, they were shut out, stripped of opportunities, and slowly turned into ghosts of film history in the most cruel and calculated way. In today's video, we pull back the curtain. We expose the hidden power games, the dirty secrets, and the chilling truth behind how Hollywood systematically destroyed the careers of these 13 actresses and tried to erase their legacy forever. Vanessa Williams, the first Black Miss America, crowned by history, then cast out by Hollywood. Her story begins with a breathtaking rise and a devastating fall. Born in 1963, Vanessa Williams shattered barriers when she became the first Black woman ever crowned Miss America. She wasn't just a symbol of change, she was magnetic. Audiences were drawn to her radiant beauty, her poise, and her undeniable talent in both music and acting. A star was being born. But in the summer of 1984, at the very peak of her ascent, everything collapsed, overnight, like a sandcastle swallowed by a violent storm. On July 19, 1984, in New York City, Vanessa was preparing for a television taping. When the phone rang, she answered with the excitement of a rising star. Then came the words that froze her blood. "Your nude photos have been released." Her heart stopped. The images were from 1982, taken while she was still a college student at Syracuse University, a shoot she believed was harmless, artistic, private. Photographer Tom Chiapple had promised discretion. Vanessa never imagined those photos would surface, let alone explode across front pages nationwide. The scandal spread like wildfire. That same afternoon, she was summoned to an emergency meeting. Inside the stifling room, dim lights cast long shadows as judgment filled the air. Pageant director Jon Stewart stood, pointed at her, and delivered a sentence that cut like a blade. "You must immediately resign as Miss America. An image like this cannot represent us." It wasn't just humiliation, it was punishment. And beneath it, many sensed something darker, racial bias masked as morality. Vanessa sat frozen, her hands cold, the ground beneath her seemingly splitting apart. On July 23, 1984, surrounded by flashing cameras, she stepped forward. Her face was pale, her eyes distant. Holding back tears, she announced her resignation. In that moment, she lost more than a crown. She lost the future she had fought to build. The press turned vicious. Headlines branded her reckless and self-destructive. Rumors spread, accusing her of staging the scandal, of selling herself for fame. Hollywood, once so eager to embrace her, slammed its doors shut. Refusing to go quietly, Vanessa filed a $500 million lawsuit against Penthouse and photographer Tom Chiapple. But as the legal battle unfolded, a chilling reality emerged. This wasn't just a photo leak. Powerful forces were working behind the scenes. Her lawyers received threats. Meetings were abruptly canceled. Doors closed without explanation. Slowly, she realized she wasn't fighting individuals. She was fighting a system. Overwhelmed and isolated, Vanessa withdrew the lawsuit, forced to swallow a bitter defeat. But even at rock bottom, she refused to be destroyed. 7 years later, in 1991, Vanessa Williams returned, not as a fallen queen, but as a survivor. She reclaimed her voice through music and acting, each performance a declaration of resilience. She proved to the world that a crown can be taken away, but dignity, strength, and inner power can never be stolen. The brutal price of daring to challenge Oprah. Next, we come to Monique. Born in 1967, she was once celebrated as one of Hollywood's boldest, most fearless, and undeniably gifted actresses. Her explosive performance in Precious didn't just win over audiences, It catapulted her straight onto the Oscar stage, a moment that should have crowned her career. But instead of triumph, darkness followed. On the night of March 7, 2010, inside the Kodak Theater, Monique stunned the crowd in a striking cobalt blue gown. When her name was called for Best Supporting Actress, the room erupted in applause. She stepped onto the stage, clutching the golden statue, tears streaming down her face, her voice shaking with emotion. And then, it happened. As her speech ended, a strange, chilling silence settled over the room. Monique never mentioned Oprah Winfrey, one of the most powerful figures behind Precious. What seemed like a small omission became, in that moment, an unforgivable insult to Hollywood's elite. That very night, backstage, as camera flashes still popped, whispers spread. Oprah, they said, quietly left the main celebration and slipped into a private side room with producers and industry power players. In the thick air of tension, hushed voices murmured one phrase. Monique crossed the line. An unwritten blacklist was born, and her name sat at the very top. When Monique entered the afterparty, there were no warm hugs, no congratulations. Only cold stares, forced smiles, and people deliberately turning away. Behind her back, the whispers grew louder. She just destroyed herself. And that's exactly what happened. Within days, her phone stopped ringing. Film offers vanished. Endorsement deals evaporated. Within weeks, projects were canceled, roles recast, invitations withdrawn. The label, difficult to work with, was stamped onto her name, a silent sentence Hollywood signed on the very night she won her Oscar. 5 years later, in late 2015, no longer able to endure the silence, Monique finally spoke out. She publicly accused Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels of orchestrating the campaign that shut her out of Hollywood. Her words hit the industry like an explosion. But the harsh truth was undeniable. Courage alone was no match for a machine built on power and influence. Monique's story remains a chilling warning. In Hollywood, one misstep, one forgotten name in a speech, can turn an Oscar-winning star into a permanent resident on the blacklist. Dorothy Dandridge, the Oscar trailblazer who died alone, humiliated, silenced, and discarded by the very industry she helped change. Tragedy never spared Dorothy Dandridge, once celebrated as Hollywood's Black Pearl. In 1954, her breathtaking performance in Carmen Jones shattered barriers, making her the first Black woman ever nominated for Best Actress at the Academy Awards. For a fleeting moment, the world believed Hollywood had finally chosen fairness over prejudice. But that moment was an illusion. That brief glory marked the beginning of a long, brutal downfall. After the applause faded, so did the opportunities. From 1955 onward, Dorothy was pushed to the margins. While her white peers headlined blockbuster after blockbuster, she was offered demeaning supporting roles, or nothing at all. Talent was no longer the issue. Race was. In November 1959, while performing at New York's famed Copacabana, Dorothy was forced to enter through the back door, forbidden from dining with her white colleagues. The roaring applause on stage could not erase the sting of humiliation backstage. An Oscar nominee, yet still seen as just a Black woman in Hollywood. A year later, she delivered a radiant performance at a luxury hotel in Las Vegas. The crowd adored her. The lights sparkled. But when Dorothy asked to stay the night, she was coldly denied because of her race. That evening, an Academy Award legend wandered the desert night, searching for shelter. The shame followed her for the rest of her life. And still, the cruelty continued. In the early 1960s, whispers spread of a secret relationship between Dorothy and one of Hollywood's most powerful producers. When she refused to remain his hidden mistress, and instead demanded roles worthy of her talent, her career was allegedly shut down overnight. Years later, friends recalled Dorothy breaking down at a dinner, confessing that her career wasn't destroyed by lack of ability, but because she dared to defy the unspoken rules enforced by powerful white men. On September 8, 1965, Dorothy Dandridge was found dead in her small Los Angeles apartment. She was just 42 years old. The official cause was a heart attack, but those closest to her whispered of something deeper: years of despair, lonely nights, sleeping pills, and alcohol used to numb relentless humiliation. Some even believed her death was not entirely natural, but a final silencing of her resistance. Dorothy Dandridge died alone. Hollywood did not honor her. There were no grand tributes, no standing ovations. Yet her story endures. Her life became a haunting symbol for generations to come, a painful reminder that sometimes, not even an Oscar can protect a black woman from the cruelty of racism, power, and betrayal. The night Hollywood's Catwoman was silenced by the White House. When people talk about America's most versatile entertainers, Eartha Kitt's name deserves to be spoken with reverence. She could sing. She could dance. She could act. And above all, she became unforgettable as the seductive Catwoman on the iconic 1960s Batman series. To the public, she was glamorous, fearless, untouchable. But in one single evening, one bold act of honesty turned a shining star into a hunted outcast in her own country. On January 18, 1968, the White House hosted a glamorous luncheon led by First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy. The room was packed with powerful politicians, military generals, and Hollywood's elite. Everything was polished, controlled. Then the conversation turned to the Vietnam War. Without hesitation, Eartha Kitt stood up. Her voice cut through the silence as she declared, "This is a meaningless massacre. The US government is killing innocent people and spreading suffering across the world." The room froze. Jacqueline Kennedy's face drained of color. Officials exchanged furious glances. In that moment, Eartha Kitt knew she had just signed the death warrant for her American career. Just 4 days later, the fallout began. Hollywood producers quietly canceled her contracts, one by one. Major newspapers branded her a traitor, a disgrace to the nation. Then came the whispers, chilling and dangerous. The CIA had allegedly opened a secret file on Eartha Kitt, tracking her movements. Some claimed she received a phone call from a powerful official warning her she would never work in America again. By October 1, 1968, under mounting threats, Eartha Kitt was forced to leave the United States in secret. She boarded a night flight to Paris with only a small suitcase and a shattered heart. The price of speaking the truth was devastating: her career, her homeland, and her sense of safety. Yet in Europe, Eartha Kitt rose from the ashes. Paris and London embraced her. Her sultry, rasping voice captivated audiences once again. But the wound never fully healed. The betrayal by her own country stayed with her for the rest of her life. Eartha Kitt became more than an entertainer. She became a symbol of an artist brave enough to speak the truth, and a haunting reminder of how ruthless Hollywood and the US government could be when defied. Gabrielle Union. One cold email was all it took to bury a career. Born in 1972, Gabrielle Union seemed to have everything Hollywood promises: beauty, talent, and a hard-earned place at the top. With hits like Bring It On and Bad Boys 2, she became a familiar and beloved face in American cinema. So when she was invited to join America's Got Talent as a judge in February 2019, Gabrielle believed it marked a powerful new chapter. She had no idea it would become the beginning of the end. Behind the dazzling lights of the Los Angeles stage, something darker was unfolding. Off camera, Gabrielle repeatedly heard mocking comments about her cornrow braids. One colleague scoffed that the hairstyle wasn't right for American audiences. Another day, during a break, she watched as an Asian contestant's accent was ridiculed for laughs. The room erupted in laughter, everyone except Gabrielle, who sat frozen in disbelief. This wasn't comedy. It was blatant racism. By October 2019, inside a closed-door meeting on the 14th floor of NBC headquarters, Gabrielle finally spoke up. She stood tall, her voice steady, and calmly detailed every act of misconduct she had witnessed. When she finished, no one responded. The room went silent, an icy, punishing silence, like she had just committed an unforgivable crime. She didn't realize that moment had sealed her fate. One morning in November 2019, her phone buzzed. A short email appeared on the screen. "Your contract will not be renewed." No explanation. No discussion. No chance to defend herself. Gabrielle sat motionless in her kitchen, staring at a cup of cold coffee as tears fell before she even realized she was crying. Soon, whispers spread backstage. Her firing, people claimed, wasn't just an NBC decision. It was part of a quiet agreement among powerful media executives to silence her. According to rumors, shortly after Gabrielle spoke out, a discreet phone call was made from the upper floors of a media empire. The message was clear: eliminate the problem and make an example of her. Then came something even more chilling. A close friend later revealed that one night in late November 2019, after Gabrielle tucked her daughter into bed, the phone rang. On the other end was an unfamiliar male voice, raspy, cold, and deliberate. No name, no introduction, just a whisper. "We'll make sure you disappear from Hollywood. Don't ever speak out again." The line went dead. From that night on, every step Gabrielle took felt watched. Meetings were suddenly canceled. Role negotiations vanished without explanation. Every email, every ringing phone sent a jolt of fear through her, uncertain whether it threatened her career or something far worse. Gabrielle Union did not disappear. But from that moment forward, she became a symbol of a brutal truth. In Hollywood, sometimes a cold email is crueler than a death sentence. Irene Cara. A $1.5 million courtroom victory that quietly turned into a career death sentence. In 1983, the world moved to Flashdance. What a feeling! Irene Cara, born in 1959, rose overnight into global superstardom. She stood beneath blinding stage lights, her voice soaring as millions cheered. She was untouchable, an icon of ambition, passion, and triumph. But just 2 years later, in March 1985, everything changed. As Irene walked out of a courtroom clutching a $1.5 million royalty judgment she had fought hard to win, she believed justice had finally been served. What she didn't realize was that as those courtroom doors closed, countless others across Hollywood were already slamming shut behind her. By July 1986, she found herself sitting across from a powerful producer in Los Angeles, hoping for a fresh start. They never discussed her voice. They never mentioned the script. Instead, she heard the same cold sentence repeated again and again. "You're not right for this." In that moment, Irene understood something chilling. Talent no longer determined her future. Soon after, a vicious rumor began circulating through the music industry. By late 1986, whispers claimed Irene Cara was addicted to cocaine, unstable, uncontrollable, screaming in studios, vanishing for days. Tabloids went even further, fabricating stories of her collapsing in a Los Angeles nightclub bathroom beside a silver straw. No evidence. No police report. No proof. Yet the lie traveled faster than any hit song she ever recorded. Every meeting she entered, the rumor arrived before her. Producers dismissed her as unreliable. Performance invitations disappeared overnight. Phone calls stopped. Shows were canceled without explanation. Once a global star, Irene Cara was quietly pushed out of Hollywood, back into a small apartment in Largo, Florida. At night, she sat alone at her piano, trembling fingers brushing the keys, singing only for herself. A dim desk lamp cast yellow shadows across a silent room, heavy with everything she had lost. Friends drifted away. Colleagues cut ties. For nearly half her life, Irene lived under an invisible sentence, blacklisted by an industry over a rumor that was never proven. When Irene Cara passed away in 2022, the world suddenly remembered her name. Headlines celebrated fame and Flashdance. What a feeling! Tributes poured in. But for Irene, the recognition came far too late. For decades, she had fought alone, buried beneath the crushing weight of a lie that followed her to the very end. Angela Bassett, the Queen Hollywood froze out for 29 long years. Let's rewind to March 21, 1994, at the 66th Academy Awards in Los Angeles. Angela Bassett sat in the front rows, her eyes glowing with hope and belief. She had just electrified the world with her unforgettable performance as Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It. The audience rose to their feet. The applause thundered. Critics crowned her the new icon of black cinema. It felt like a new era had begun, an era with Angela Bassett at its center. But that dream shattered only months later. Inside a sleek Beverly Hills office, Angela flipped through the script of a major Hollywood blockbuster. Then she reached the role written for the only black character, and her heart sank. It wasn't a role. It was a caricature. A stereotype meant to uplift white leads while reducing her to a symbol. Angela quietly closed the script and walked away. She didn't argue. She didn't explain. She simply said no. That single word came at a devastating cost. Within days, the phone stopped ringing. By the summer of 1994, her name had vanished from casting lists at Warner Brothers and Universal. Trade magazines began whispering that she was difficult, uncooperative. The best scripts went elsewhere. While her peers continued landing leading roles, Angela was pushed to the margins, taking supporting parts, television films, staying visible yet unseen. Throughout the 1990s, she existed in Hollywood as a ghost of her own greatness, present, but erased. It wasn't until 2023, when the Academy finally honored her with an honorary Oscar, that the world publicly bowed to Angela Bassett as the royalty she had always been. But behind that radiant smile was the truth no statue could erase. 29 years of quiet punishment for having the courage to say no. Sheryl Lee Ralph. Once celebrated as Hollywood's next great hope, she was a rising star the industry couldn't stop talking about. Fresh off the bright lights of Broadway and the massive success of Dreamgirls, Sheryl had it all: beauty, undeniable talent, and a magnetic presence. In the early 1980s, the press hailed her as the face destined to break barriers, a woman whose future seemed limitless. But just as her career began to soar, Hollywood turned cold. In 1983, Sheryl landed the lead role in a major NBC family series set to film in Burbank, California. She had beaten out dozens of actresses and had already started promotional photo shoots. Everything pointed to a breakthrough. Then, just 2 weeks before filming was scheduled to begin, she was abruptly summoned to the producer's office. There were no compliments. No explanations wrapped in kindness. Only a blunt dismissal. She was cut. The reason, written plainly in the report, was devastating, not black enough. What came next was even more humiliating. In the final days she remained on set, during lunch, a younger actress, barely more than a background player, blocked Sheryl's path. In front of the entire crew, she placed a cold lunchbox on a wooden chair in a dim hallway and sneered, "This is your seat." A few people laughed. Most looked away. Under flickering lights, Sheryl sat alone, eating in silence, while behind her the brightly lit dining hall buzzed with conversation and life. Days later, the press poured gasoline on the fire. Headlines screamed, "Sheryl Lee Ralph, not black enough, trying to pass for white." No one defended her. No one exposed the cruelty she had endured behind the scenes. In an instant, Hollywood's great hope was erased, her name dragged through controversy and shame. That moment in 1983 didn't just derail a rising career. It carved a wound that followed Sheryl Lee Ralph for decades. A chilling reminder of how Hollywood buries extraordinary talent, not with truth, but with silence. Cicely Tyson, a black icon forced into a basement of humiliation. Cicely Tyson was once celebrated around the world for her unforgettable performances in Sounder, 1972, and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, 1974. She was hailed as a groundbreaking actress who brought depth, dignity, and truth to black stories on screen. But behind the praise was a cruel reality. Tyson's career slowed not because of a lack of talent, but because of her unwavering refusal to accept degrading, stereotypical roles. She would not play maids. She would not become a caricature. And for that courage, Hollywood branded her difficult and quietly pushed her aside. Her deepest humiliation came in 1990 on a New York television set. While her white co-stars were escorted to bright, comfortable dressing rooms, Cicely Tyson was led downstairs, into a cold, damp basement. The room was barely fit for storage. A cracked mirror, a flickering yellow bulb, and the heavy smell of mold in the air. When she questioned it, an assistant coldly told her, "It's the producer's decision," as if the insult had been deliberately arranged. Above her, laughter echoed from the studio. Below, Cicely Tyson sat alone in the darkness, applying her makeup through tears. It was a devastating reminder of how Hollywood punished a black woman who demanded dignity, reducing an Oscar-winning legend to an afterthought in the very industry she had given her life to. Diane Carroll. A name that once shone like a promise, and a life marked by one of Hollywood's quietest, cruelest betrayals. If Cicely Tyson was pushed aside for refusing to play stereotypes, Diane Carroll endured a different kind of tragedy. Born in 1935, she shattered barriers in 1968 with Julia, becoming the first black woman to star as the lead in an American television sitcom. It was a historic moment, one that should have opened every door in Hollywood. Instead, many of those doors stayed locked. Despite her elegance, talent, and trailblazing success, Carroll's career was repeatedly slowed by prejudice and an industry unwilling to place a black woman at the center of its biggest stories. But the deepest wound came in the spring of 1981, in Los Angeles, when hope seemed closer than ever. After months of auditions, meetings, and studio confidence, Carroll was all but confirmed as the lead in a new NBC series. Scripts were already in her hands. The press spoke as if the decision was final. It was supposed to be her return. Then, just 3 days before the official announcement, everything collapsed. She was told the role had been given to a younger actress, someone she once trusted as a friend. The betrayal cut even deeper when rumors surfaced that Carroll's longtime manager had secretly accepted a bribe to remove her name, clearing the way for the newcomer. When the truth reached her, Carroll nearly broke. In that moment, she didn't just lose a rare career opportunity, she lost her faith in the people closest to her. Years later, through tears, Carroll confessed that Hollywood wasn't just cold. It was a place of hidden knives, masked by warm smiles. After 1981, she was rarely seen in major films again, choosing instead the safety of the stage and small television roles. Her legacy remained undeniable. But the scar of betrayal never faded. Diana Sands. Diana Sands was a brilliant Broadway star who paid a heavy price for daring to challenge Hollywood. Born in 1934, she rose from the stage with undeniable talent, earning widespread acclaim for her powerful performance in A Raisin in the Sun in 1961. Critics believed she was destined to break Hollywood's rigid stereotypes and become the first black actress to cross over as a true film star on her own terms. But tragedy followed courage. In 1969, during an audition meeting for Claudine, Sands openly confronted Columbia Pictures, condemning the industry for repeatedly writing black characters trapped in poverty and cliché. The room went silent. Within days, her name disappeared from the project. The role was given to Diane Carroll, while Sands was quietly labeled difficult. Hollywood didn't push her aside because she lacked talent. It pushed her aside because she spoke the truth. Diana Sands died tragically young at just 39, leaving behind not only unfulfilled promise, but a lasting wound in black film history that still echoes today. Lola Falana. Once the undisputed queen of the nightclub scene, Lola Falana paid a brutal price for refusing to play a role that demanded her dignity. Born in 1942, Falana rose to superstardom in the 1970s, dazzling audiences with her breathtaking beauty, magnetic presence, and sultry voice. She made history as the first black woman to land a $1 million contract with a major studio. But in 1974, everything changed. MGM handed her a script that reduced black women to nothing more than objects of sexual entertainment. Lola didn't hesitate, she said no. And Hollywood answered back with swift, unforgiving retaliation. Her contract was terminated. Her Las Vegas headlining shows were abruptly canceled. The cruelest blow came 2 years later. Arriving at her Las Vegas theater, Lola looked up to find her name erased from the neon marquee overnight, replaced by a younger, rising star. In that moment, Hollywood and Vegas turned their backs on their queen, casting her into the shadows for one simple reason. She chose self-respect over submission. Vonetta McGee. Vonetta McGee. The queen who was buried beneath Hollywood's label of cheap films. We close this list with Vonetta McGee, a name that once carried promise, power, and undeniable presence. Born in 1945, McGee rose to fame in the early 1970s with unforgettable performances in Blackula, 1972, and Shaft in Africa, 1973. The media crowned her the queen of films exploring black identity and culture. But that crown quickly became a cage. In 1975, Warner Brothers invited McGee to audition for a major historical epic, a role that could have launched her into true mainstream stardom. After her final audition, insiders whispered that an official announcement was imminent. The press was already celebrating her breakthrough. Then, suddenly, everything changed. Just days later, the role was quietly handed to an unknown white actress. Soon after, the truth leaked from inside the studio. Executives had decided that Vonetta McGee was only suitable for low-budget films made for black audiences, not worthy of being a mainstream star. Even more disturbing, a studio employee revealed that McGee had spoken up during a meeting. She refused to perform a scene that humiliated a black female character. That single act of resistance sealed her fate. Almost overnight, she was blacklisted. From that moment on, Vonetta McGee was pushed to the margins. Limited to small television roles, her film career effectively erased. Hollywood had first trapped her inside the iron cage of blaxploitation, then discarded her entirely. A gifted actress reduced to yet another casualty of prejudice and quiet punishment. Hollywood is often sold as the ultimate dream for artists. But how many dreams has it crushed behind closed doors? How many talents have been destroyed by the invisible weapon known as the blacklist? Do you believe these injustices still linger in Hollywood today? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. The stories ahead are even darker, more tragic, and far more haunting.